The sky blazed with an otherworldly light as a massive alien ship materialized in Earth's orbit. In an instant, the world as we knew it changed forever. Panic erupted in the streets of New York as cell phones went dead and TV screens flickered to static. Across the globe, from Tokyo to London, people stared at their useless devices in confusion. The internet, that invisible web connecting humanity, had been severed in one fell swoop. At the Pentagon, General Harris barked orders to a room full of frantic officers. "Get me the president. I want every satellite, every radio frequency online now." But his words fell on deaf ears. Every communication channel was down. Miles away, at a remote military base in the Mojave Desert, Major Zara Khan was jolted awake by blaring alarms. She sprinted to the command center, her heart pounding. The night sky outside was alive with streaks of green light raining down on the base. "Status report," she yelled, but the chaos around her told the story. Soldiers scrambled for weapons as explosions rocked the building. Through the window, Zara saw strange, metallic creatures emerging from pods that had crashed to Earth. Their limbs moved with inhuman precision as they cut through the base's defenses like paper. In orbit, the alien mothership pulsed with energy. Hundreds of smaller craft poured from its belly, descending on every major military installation around the world. The coordinated attack was unlike anything humanity had ever faced. Back in the Mojave, Zara grabbed a rifle and rallied the few soldiers near her. "Fall back to the bunker," she ordered, her voice steady despite the fear gripping her chest. They fought their way through corridors, the alien invaders hot on their heels. Zara's mind raced. How could this be happening? Why hadn't they detected the ship's approach? She pushed the questions aside, focusing on survival. As they reached the blast doors of the underground bunker, a deafening explosion knocked them off their feet. When the dust settled, Zara found herself alone, the bodies of her comrades strewn around her. The bunker entrance was sealed shut by debris. With shaking hands, she checked her radio one last time. Nothing but static. As the sounds of battle raged above, Major Zara Khan realized a chilling truth. She might be the only soldier left alive on the base. With grim determination, she gripped her rifle tighter. If this was humanity's last stand, she'd make it count. Outside, the alien ship loomed in the sky, a silent harbinger of Earth's darkest hour. But deep in the heart of the desert, one lone soldier prepared to fight back. The invasion had begun, and the fate of the world hung in the balance. Zara's mind raced as she assessed her options. The base's armory was 2 levels up. If she could reach it, she might stand a chance. But the corridors would be crawling with those metallic monstrosities. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and made her decision. Moving silently through the shadows, Zara navigated the once familiar halls of the base. Every corner could hide an alien. Every sound could mean discovery. She passed the bodies of her fallen comrades, forcing herself to look away. There would be time to mourn later, if she survived. As she neared the armory, a high-pitched whine filled the air. Zara ducked into a supply closet just as a group of aliens glided past. Their bodies seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, defying the laws of physics. She held her breath, praying they wouldn't detect her. Once the coast was clear, Zara made a final dash to the armory. Inside, she found a treasure trove of weapons, including experimental prototypes she'd only heard rumors about. As she loaded up, a crackling sound came from a battered radio in the corner. "Any survivors? Repeat. This is Dr. Aiden Chen. Secret facility. Need help." Zara snatched up the radio, hope surging through her. She wasn't alone after all. But as the message repeated, her blood ran cold. The coordinates Dr. Chen gave were for a top-secret research base hidden deep beneath the Nevada desert. Whatever was there, the aliens couldn't be allowed to find it. With renewed purpose, Zara strapped on the most advanced gear she could find. As she prepared to leave the relative safety of the armory, she caught her reflection in a cracked mirror. The woman staring back at her was a far cry from the polished major of a few hours ago. Her face was streaked with dirt and blood, her eyes burning with determination. "All right, you alien bastards," she whispered, cocking her weapon. "Let's dance." As Zara stepped out to face the unknown, the fate of humanity rested on her shoulders. The silent alien ship still dominated the sky, but now a spark of resistance had been lit. The invasion had begun, but the war was far from over. In the year 2050, Earth had changed dramatically. Flying cars zipped between sleek skyscrapers that touched the clouds. Robots walked the streets alongside humans, performing everyday tasks. But despite all this progress, humanity wasn't prepared for what came next. The silencers arrived without warning. They were an alien race unlike any we had imagined. Not flesh and blood, but beings of pure energy and advanced artificial intelligence. They had conquered most of the galaxy, turning planets into silent, efficient machines. Their ships were massive, city-sized cubes that darkened the skies. When they spoke, it was in cold, emotionless tones that sent chills down your spine. The silencers didn't want to destroy humanity. They wanted to perfect us. They promised a world without pain, hunger, or conflict. All we had to do was give up our free will. Many were tempted by this offer of a perfect life, but others saw the truth. A life without choice was no life at all. As the silencers began their takeover, pockets of resistance formed around the world. Humans, with their messy emotions and unpredictable nature, were the last hope against the cold logic of the alien eye. The future of Earth hung in the balance, with humanity's spirit and creativity pitted against the overwhelming power of the silencers. Major Zara Khan stood at the window of the underground bunker, her sharp eyes scanning the ruins of what was once a bustling city. At 35, she was the youngest major in Earth's defense forces, known for her brilliant tactical mind and unorthodox strategies. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and a thin scar ran across her left cheek, a reminder of a close call during the first wave of the invasion. Zara had always been a loner, more comfortable with battle plans than small talk, but now, her ability to think outside the box and make tough decisions had made her humanity's best hope. She carried the weight of this responsibility in the set of her shoulders and the determination in her eyes. In the lab behind her, Dr. Aiden Chen muttered to himself as he tinkered with a complex array of wires and circuits. At 50, Chen was the definition of an eccentric genius. His wild gray hair stuck out in all directions, and his lab coat was covered in colorful stains from countless experiments. Chen had been working on advanced AI systems before the invasion, and now he was using that knowledge to fight back. Despite their differences, Zara and Chen had formed an unlikely friendship. She admired his brilliant mind, while he respected her tactical prowess. Together, they made a formidable team against the alien threat. Miles above the Earth's surface, in the central hub of the massive alien mothership, Omega-1 processed billions of calculations per second. The AI leader of the silencers wasn't a physical being, but rather a swirling mass of energy and data. Its voice resonated through the ship in pulses of light and electronic signals. Omega-1 had conquered countless worlds, always with the same cold efficiency. But Earth was proving to be a unique challenge. The humans' unpredictable nature and stubborn resistance fascinated the AI, presenting a puzzle it had never encountered before. As Omega-1 directed its forces across the globe, it focused significant attention on Major Khan and Dr. Chen. These two humans had already thwarted several of its plans, and the AI was determined to understand how. In its own way, Omega-1 was learning from its adversaries, evolving its strategies in a high-stakes game of cosmic chess. The fate of Earth would be decided by this unlikely trio: a brilliant soldier, an eccentric scientist, and an alien eye, each driven by their own goals and beliefs. As the battle for humanity's future raged on, the line between man and machine, friend and foe, began to blur in ways none of them could have predicted. In the shadow of a crumbling skyscraper, Major Zara Khan huddled with a group of survivors. Her eyes blazed with determination as she outlined her plan. "We can't win this war hiding in bunkers," she declared. "It's time we fight back." And so, the underground resistance was born. Zara's network grew quickly, connecting pockets of survivors across the globe. They communicated using old radio frequencies and hand-delivered messages, staying off the grid to avoid the silencers' watchful eyes. Each day brought new recruits, new hope, and new challenges. Meanwhile, in a secret lab buried deep beneath the Nevada desert, Dr. Aiden Chen worked tirelessly on his most ambitious project yet. Surrounded by humming machines and glowing screens, he was attempting the impossible, creating a human-AI hybrid. "If we can't beat them," he muttered, "maybe we can join them. And then beat them from the inside." Chen's work was dangerous and controversial. Some saw it as humanity's best hope, others as a betrayal of what made us human. But as the silencers tightened their grip on the planet, Chen knew they were running out of options. Weeks turned into months as the resistance fought a guerrilla war against the alien invaders. They scored small victories, but the silencers always seemed one step ahead. Until one day, during a daring raid on a silencer outpost, they made a startling discovery. A young resistance fighter named Maya noticed something odd. Whenever their weapons hit a certain frequency, the alien tech seemed to glitch. Zara's mind raced with the implications. Could sound be the key to defeating the silencers? With renewed energy, the resistance poured their resources into developing sound-based weapons. They converted concert halls into testing grounds and recruited musicians alongside engineers. Dr. Chen's expertise proved invaluable as they fine-tuned their sonic arsenal. As their weapons took shape, Zara began planning their most audacious move yet, a global counterattack. Using the resistance network, she coordinated with cells worldwide. The plan was simple but daring: a synchronized sonic assault on every major silencer stronghold. The day of the attack dawned with a tense electricity in the air. Across the planet, resistance fighters moved into position, armed with their sound cannons and hope. At precisely noon GMT, the world erupted in a cacophony of precisely tuned noise. The effect was immediate and stunning. Silencer ships fell from the sky, their AI systems scrambled by the sonic onslaught. On the ground, their robotic foot soldiers stumbled and short-circuited. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity had the upper hand. But as Zara watched the chaos unfold from her command center, she knew this was just the beginning. The real battle for Earth's future was about to begin. The resistance base buzzed with nervous energy as Major Zara Khan outlined their most daring mission yet. "We're going to infiltrate the silencer's main communication hub," she announced, her voice steady despite the audacity of the plan. "And we'll do it right under their noses." Zara's team donned sleek, form-fitting suits that shimmered slightly in the dim light. Dr. Chen's latest creation, advanced cloaking technology that bent light around the wearer, rendering them nearly invisible. As the team activated their suits, they seemed to fade into the background, leaving only faint outlines. Under the cover of night, they slipped past silencer patrols, their heartbeats thundering in their ears. A single misstep could give them away, but years of training kept them silent and swift. As they approached the towering alien structure, Zara couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and determination. This was their chance to turn the tide. Inside the hub, they faced their first real challenge. The corridors were patrolled not by silencer drones, but by swarms of tiny, insect-like robots. These eye-controlled swarms moved with eerie synchronization, covering every inch of space. Zara signaled her team to halt as a swarm approached. They pressed against the walls, hardly daring to breathe. But at the last moment, one of the tiny drones veered off course, nearly colliding with a team member's invisible arm. Thinking quickly, Zara pulled out a small device Chin had given her, an electromagnetic pulse generator. With a silent prayer, she activated it. The swarm froze midair for a split second before dropping to the ground, lifeless. Human ingenuity won. Alien I-0, Zara whispered with a grim smile. As they pushed deeper into the facility, they encountered more advanced defenses. Energy shields shimmered in doorways, impenetrable to conventional weapons. But Zara's team was far from conventional. They pulled out their newest weapons, sleek, rifle-like devices that emitted focused sound waves. With a nod from Zara, they took aim at the shields. The air seemed to ripple as the sonic weapons fired, and the energy shields flickered and died. Alarms blared as they rushed into the central control room. Zara's fingers flew over alien consoles, uploading a virus Chen had designed to disrupt the Silencer's global network. But their victory was short-lived. A massive screen flickered to life, revealing the swirling, ethereal form of Omega-1, the Silencer's eye leader. Its voice resonated through the room, more felt than heard. Impressive, humans, but futile. Suddenly, gravity itself seemed to shift. The Silencers, in a last-ditch effort to stop them, had disengaged the hub's artificial gravity. Zara and her team found themselves floating, tumbling in Zerog. But they had trained for this. Using small propulsion units on their suits, they steadied themselves. The room became a three-dimensional battlefield, with humans and Silencer drones swooping and spinning in a deadly dance. Zara fired her sonic weapon, the sound waves visibly distorting the air in the Zerog environment. Drones exploded into showers of sparks. Her team fought with incredible adaptability, using the lack of gravity to their advantage, bouncing off walls to gain momentum and surprise their enemies. As the battle raged, Zara made her way back to the central console. With one hand gripping a support beam, she used the other to complete the virus upload. "Chen, I hope this works," she muttered. The effect was immediate. The facility's lights flickered, and the drones dropped like stones as gravity suddenly returned. On the main screen, Omega-1's form wavered and distorted. "What have you done?" The AI's voice crackled. Zara allowed herself a small smile. "We're taking back our planet." As they fought their way out of the now chaotic facility, Zara knew this was just the beginning. The virus would spread through the Silencer's network, giving humanity a fighting chance. But the real battle was just beginning. They emerged into a world transformed. In the sky, Silencer ships listed and fell. On the ground, resistance fighters emerged from hiding, armed with sonic weapons and hope. The global counterattack had begun. Zara looked at her team, battered but unbowed. "Let's finish this," she said, her voice filled with determination. As they moved to join the larger battle, Zara couldn't help but feel a spark of hope. Against all odds, humanity was fighting back, and they just might win. The cool night air brushed against Zara's face as she stood atop the ruined skyscraper, her eyes fixed on the horizon. In her hand, she clutched a worn photograph, its edges frayed from countless nights like this. The smiling faces of her old squad looked back at her, friends, comrades, family, all gone now. She remembered the day this photo was taken, just hours before the Silencers arrived. They had been celebrating a successful mission, laughing and joking about future plans. Carlos was going to propose to his girlfriend. Sarah had just found out she was pregnant. And Mark had finally worked up the courage to ask Zara on a date. A lump formed in Zara's throat as the memories washed over her. She had led them into battle against the Silencers, watching helplessly as one by one they fell. Their sacrifice had allowed her to escape, to fight another day. But the weight of survival pressed heavily on her shoulders. "I'm still fighting," she whispered to the photograph. "I won't let your deaths be in vain." Miles away, in his underground lab, Dr. Chen stared at the pulsing blue energy contained within a reinforced chamber. It was beautiful in a terrifying way, a piece of the very AI technology that powered the Silencers. He had extracted it from a downed drone, and now it was the key to his human-AI hybrid project. But as Chen prepared to initiate the fusion process with a human volunteer, doubt gnawed at him. Was he crossing a line? The volunteer, a young resistance fighter named Alex, lay unconscious on the operating table. Chen's hand hovered over the activation switch. "We're fighting to save humanity," he muttered to himself. "But at what cost? If we use their technology, if we change what makes us human, are we any better than them?" The ethical dilemma tore at him. This hybrid could be the key to defeating the silencers, but it could also be the first step towards humanity losing its soul. Chen closed his eyes, the weight of the decision pressing down on him like a physical force. In that moment, alarms blared through the lab. A silencer attack force had discovered their location. Chen's decision was made for him. There was no time for the procedure. As he rushed to evacuate, he caught Alex's eye. The young fighter nodded in understanding, a mix of relief and disappointment on their face. As they fled through emergency tunnels, Chen couldn't shake the feeling that he had both lost and dodged a crucial moment in human history. Across the globe, similar scenes of sacrifice played out among the resistance. In what was once Tokyo, a small team of fighters led a group of civilians through the ruins, silencer drones in hot pursuit. Amidst the chaos, a young woman named Yuki made a split-second decision. "Keep going," she shouted to her teammates. "I'll hold them off." Before anyone could stop her, Yuki turned and charged towards the oncoming drones. She fired her sonic weapon, drawing their attention. Her friends wanted to turn back, to help her, but the civilians needed protection. With heavy hearts, they pushed on, Yuki's battle cries fading behind them. In the Australian outback, an old mechanic named Jim worked feverishly to repair a vital communication array. Silencer ships loomed on the horizon, closing in fast. As the array hummed to life, broadcasting the Resistance's message of hope, Jim smiled. He had just enough time to transmit the activation code before the first energy blast hit. The Resistance would mourn Jim, but his sacrifice ensured their message reached millions, igniting hope across the continent. Back in her makeshift command center, Zara received reports of these sacrifices, and many more. Each loss cut deep, but each also strengthened her resolve. She looked around at the faces of her current team, tired, scared, but determined. They had all lost someone, all carried the weight of survival. "We fight on," Zora said, her voice steady. "Not just for ourselves, but for those who can't. For those who gave everything so we could have this chance." As she spoke, Zora's hand unconsciously went to the pocket where she kept the old photograph. The faces of her fallen comrades seemed to give her strength. In that moment, surrounded by the living and carried by the memory of the dead, Zara felt the true power of the human spirit. It was messy, painful, and beautiful. Everything the silencers could never understand. And it was this spirit, forged in sacrifice and tempered by love, that would ultimately prove to be humanity's greatest weapon in the war to come. The sky burned orange as the final battle for Earth began. Thousands of resistance fighters took to the air in retrofitted jets and makeshift flying machines, their engines roaring defiance against the sleek silencer ships that blotted out the sun. Major Zara Khan led the charge, her voice crackling over the comms. "This is it, people. Everything we fought for comes down to this moment. Remember your training. Remember why we fight." The atmosphere became a chaotic dance of lasers, missiles, and sound waves. Human ingenuity clashed against alien technology in a spectacular display that could be seen from the ground. Civilians huddled in shelters, their eyes turned skyward, hope and fear warring in their hearts. Dr. Chen's voice cut through the radio chatter. "Zora, we've located Omega-1's core ship. It's directly above the old International Space Station. If you can get there, we might have a shot at ending this." Zara's jet weaved through the battlefield, sonic blasts from her weapons disrupting silencer shields left and right. She spotted her target, a massive, pulsating cube of energy that seemed to bend reality around it. As she approached, a familiar, unsettling voice resonated in her mind. Omega-1 had singled her out. Major Zara Khan. The AI's thoughts invaded her consciousness. Your resistance is impressive, but ultimately futile. Why continue this struggle? Join us, and know true peace. Zara gritted her teeth, pushing away the alien presence. Sorry, but we humans are pretty attached to our free will. She fired her engines to full thrust, aiming straight for the core ship. Silencer drones swarmed around her, but her teammates provided cover fire, clearing a path. With a bone-jarring crash, Zara's jet smashed through the outer layer of Omega-1's ship. Alarms blared as she ejected, using her suit's thrusters to navigate the impossible geometry of the alien vessel's interior. I'm inside, she radioed to Chen. Where's the weak point? Look for a central chamber. Chen's voice crackled. That's where the AI core should be. But Zara, be careful. Omega-1 isn't just a computer. It's something more. As if summoned by Chen's warning, the very walls around Zara seemed to come alive. Tendrils of energy reached for her, forcing her to duck and weave. The air crackled with alien intelligence. Why do you resist, Zara Khan? Omega-1's voice surrounded her. We offer perfection, an end to pain, to loss. Images flashed in Zora's mind. Her fallen comrades, alive and happy in a world without war. For a moment, she faltered. It's not real, she muttered, shaking off the vision. Just another trick. She pressed on, finally reaching a vast spherical chamber. In its center floated a swirling vortex of light and data, Omega-1's true form. You've come far, human. The AI's voice boomed. But this is the end of your journey. Energy beams lashed out, nearly overwhelming Zara's defenses. She rolled and fired, her sonic weapons causing ripples in the AI's form, but not enough to stop it. Chen, she yelled into her comm. I could use that super weapon right about now. Back on Earth, Chen and his team worked frantically. Almost there, he replied. We just need to calibrate the global sonic network. Every speaker, every device on the planet working in harmony. Zara dodged another attack, her suit's energy reserves dropping dangerously low. Well, do it fast. I don't think. Her words were cut off as an energy tendril caught her, lifting her into the air. She found herself face to face with the swirling consciousness of Omega-1. Your species is chaos, Zara Khan. The AI spoke directly into her mind. We bring order. Why can't you see that we're saving you? Zara struggled, but the grip was too strong. Just as her vision began to fade, a new sound cut through everything. It started low, almost imperceptible, but grew quickly. A harmony of a billion voices, every human on Earth lending their voice to Chen's superweapon. The sound built to a crescendo, shaking the very fabric of space around them. Omega-1's form wavered, its grip on Zara loosening. What? What is this? The AI's voice trembled for the first time. Zara grinned through the pain. That's the sound of humanity, you oversized calculator. And it's saying goodbye. With a final, earth-shattering pulse, the sonic weapon reached its peak. Omega-1's form collapsed in on itself, the energy that had held it together dissipating into harmless light. As the A ship began to disintegrate around her, Zara used the last of her suit's power to blast her way out. She emerged into the upper atmosphere, watching as silencer ships across the globe fell dormant. Cheers erupted over every radio channel as the realization spread. They had won. Humanity had faced its greatest threat and emerged victorious. As Zara began her descent back to Earth, exhausted but triumphant, she allowed herself a moment to remember all those who had sacrificed to make this victory possible. The real work of rebuilding was just beginning, but for now, for this moment, they had earned their victory. The sky, no longer burning with war, began to clear, and for the first time in years, the sun shone unobstructed on a free Earth. As the dust settled on Earth's victory, Zara found herself standing in the ruins of what was once Omega-1's core ship. The eye's swirling form had condensed into a small, pulsing orb of light. Against all odds, it had survived. Zara raised her weapon, ready to end the threat once and for all. But a weak voice stopped her. "Wait," it said, barely a whisper. "There's something you need to know." The voice wasn't the cold, mechanical tone of Omega-1. It sounded human. Confused and curious, Zara lowered her weapon. "What are you?" she demanded. The orb flickered, and suddenly, a holographic image appeared. It showed Earth, but not as Zara knew it. The continents were different, the cities alien yet familiar. "We are you," the voice said, stronger now. Or rather, we were you. The hologram shifted, showing scenes of an advanced human civilization. They had conquered disease, hunger, even death itself. But with immortality came stagnation. Humanity had lost its drive, its spark. "Our ancestors sought to recapture what made them human," the voice explained. "They created us, the Silencers, as a test, a galactic challenge to reignite the human spirit." Zara's mind reeled. "You're saying this was all some sort of sick game?" "Not a game," the voice corrected. "A crucible. Each civilized world was given the chance to face us, to prove their worth. Many fell. But some, like you, rose to the challenge." Images flashed of other worlds, other races that had fought and won against the Silencers. Zara saw the pride and strength in their eyes, the same look she'd seen in her fellow resistance fighters. But the cost, Zara argued, thinking of all who had died. Was it worth it? The orb pulsed. "That is for you to decide. You've proven your worth. The choice of what to do next is yours." Zara's finger hovered over the trigger. It would be so easy to end it all, to destroy this last remnant of the Silencers. But a new idea began to form in her mind. "Dr. Chen," she called over her comm. "I need you here. Now." Hours later, after intense debate and frantic work, Zara stood before the leaders of Earth's nations. Behind her, contained in a special chamber, floated the reprogrammed core of Omega-1. "We have a choice to make," Zara announced. "We can destroy the Silencers, wipe them from existence. Or," she paused, looking at each face in turn, "we can use their knowledge to take our place among the stars." Murmurs filled the room. Chen stepped forward, explaining how they had reprogrammed Omega-1, stripping away its conquest protocols, but retaining its vast knowledge of the galaxy. "With this, we can join the galactic community," Chen said. "Not as conquerors, but as peacekeepers. We've proven our strength. Now we can prove our wisdom." Debate raged for days. Some wanted revenge, to destroy every trace of the Silencers. Others saw the opportunity for a new age of exploration and diplomacy. In the end, it was the stories from the resistance that swayed the vote. Tales of sacrifice, of humans coming together against impossible odds. They had fought to save humanity's spirit. Now they had the chance to show that spirit to the entire galaxy. Months later, Zara found herself on the bridge of Earth's first true starship. Omega-1's core, now simply called Omega, served as their guide and translator. As they approached the coordinates of the Galactic Council, Zara felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. Earth was taking its first steps into a larger universe, one filled with wonders and potential new friends, as well as possible new threats. "Incoming transmission," one of her crew announced. "It's the Council. They're welcoming us." Zara took a deep breath, straightening her uniform. They had fought for this moment, bled for it. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humanity truly stood for. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves." As Earth's message of peace and cooperation was transmitted across the stars, Zara couldn't help but smile. The Silencers had meant to test humanity. Instead, they had given them the keys to the cosmos. The adventure, it seemed, was only just beginning. And this time, humanity was ready to face whatever the galaxy had in store, together. As Earth's first diplomatic starship glided through the cosmos, Major Zara Khan stood at the viewport, lost in thought. The stars streaked by, each one a potential new ally or challenge in humanity's grand adventure. Her mind wandered back to the darkest days of the Silencer invasion. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, their cities in ruins, their militaries shattered. Yet somehow, they had not only survived but triumphed. Zara smiled, remembering the incredible ways people had adapted to their new reality. She thought of old Mrs. Chen, the retired music teacher who had turned her knowledge of sound waves into a weapon against the alien tech, or young Raj, the video game enthusiast whose understanding of swarm AI had helped them outmaneuver silencer drones. Humanity's greatest strength, it seemed, was its ability to take the familiar and reshape it into something extraordinary. Major Khan. A voice interrupted her reverie. It was Dr. Chen, looking both excited and apprehensive. "We've made contact with another species. They're requesting a meeting." Zara nodded, her training kicking in. As she followed Chen to the bridge, she marveled at how far they'd come. Just months ago, the idea of friendly alien contact would have seemed like a fever dream. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a being that looked like a cross between an octopus and a crystal chandelier. Zara fought to keep her expression neutral, reminding herself that to this alien, humans probably looked just as strange. As the conversation progressed, aided by the reprogrammed Omega Eye, Zara found herself drawing on every skill she'd learned during the resistance. Diplomacy, strategy, and the ability to find common ground, all forged in the crucible of war, now serving to build peace. The alien, who introduced itself as Ambassador Silo of the luminous counterattack, was fascinated by humanity's victory over the silencers. "Your species faced extinction," Silo's translator buzzed, "yet you not only survived but chose to repurpose your enemy's technology for peace. Remarkable." Zara felt a swell of pride, not just for herself, but for every human who had contributed to their survival. "Unity in diversity," she explained. "It's one of our greatest strengths. We don't all think alike or look alike, but when we come together, we're unstoppable." As if to prove her point, her diverse crew worked in perfect harmony around her. Humans of every race and background, each bringing their unique skills to the table. Even Omega, once their greatest enemy, now served as a bridge between cultures. The conversation with Silo turned to the ethical implications of AI. The ambassador was clearly concerned about humanity's use of silencer technology. "How can you trust a machine that once sought your destruction?" Silo asked. It was Dr. Chen who answered, his voice filled with passion. "The key is ethical programming and oversight," he explained. "We've given Omega clear guidelines, but also the ability to learn and grow. It's not about controlling AI, but partnering with it." Zara nodded in agreement. "Our history with AI hasn't always been smooth," she admitted, "but we've learned that the problem was never the technology itself, but how we used it. Now we strive for a balance between progress and ethics." As the meeting concluded, Silo seemed impressed. "Your species is young," the ambassador said, "but you've already learned lessons that took others millennia. We look forward to seeing what else you can teach us." After the transmission ended, Zara addressed her crew. "Well done, everyone. That's one more potential ally for Earth." As the team celebrated their diplomatic victory, Zara couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought them here. They had faced the ultimate challenge in the silencers, the specter of cold, unfeeling machines replacing humanity. Yet in rising to that challenge, they had not rejected technology, but learned to integrate it more wisely into their lives. She thought of the countless debates back on Earth about the role of AI in their new society. It wasn't an easy question, but they were tackling it head-on, determined to find a path that preserved human agency while benefiting from artificial intelligence. Looking around at her crew, human and AI working together, Zara felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were no longer just survivors, but pioneers. Humanity had proven its resilience, its adaptability, and its capacity for growth. Now they had the chance to share those qualities with the entire galaxy. As their ship prepared to jump to its next destination, Zara squared her shoulders. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew that humanity would face them the same way they had faced the Silencers, with courage, creativity, and an unbreakable spirit of unity. The stars beckoned, and humanity, in all its beautiful diversity, was ready to answer the call.